Hello. Hi, Samantha.
Hello.
So it is the 5th of July, and it's a little bit after 11 in the morning here in Germany, where I am at. And my name is Laura Maria Calderone, and this is 14 Days to Change. And with us, we have Officer Manager Samantha Nicholson, and she's actually all the way in Wellington, New Zealand. So Samantha, you are our 10th story in this series, but it's actually the second interview we've had. The first one was 2 weeks ago on the 21st of June. And before we see how things have changed, right, in these 2 weeks in your life, but also in New Zealand,
Yeah.
let's do two things. First thing is I'm going to just say the numbers. So what the data was like 2 weeks ago, what it is now, just so we keep that in mind. And I'm going to play bits and pieces of our conversation 2 weeks ago, just so everybody else can get to know you and see what we spoke about, some of the things we spoke about. So here's the numbers. 21st of June, back then, New Zealand had in total 1,509 cases. So since the beginning of the pandemic until the 21st of June, that was the number. Back then it had 5 active cases and there were 22 total deaths. Now, 14 days later, there's 21 active cases, so a little bit more, making it 1,533 total cases, and thankfully, no new deaths, so we still keep 22 total deaths. So let's just think on that while we watch the video and also talk about how it has changed. So Samantha, I am going to ask you to go on mute, and I am going to start sharing my screen, and just make sure you let me know that you see everything and hear everything. So tack.
And let's get started. Tell us about yourself.
Well, thank you for having me, first of all. I'm Samantha. I am 28 and I live in Wellington, New Zealand. I'm pretty standard Kiwi, I guess, in a sense. But yeah, no, I work as an office manager. In my spare time, I like to read, watch movies, hang out with my friends, all the standard things. I love cats, huge cat person. And yeah, that's pretty much me. Pretty simple.
Well, I love cats too. I have one little one, but I hope she won't make too much noise. Yeah. Can we speak about what is going on right now? So what is currently happening? What are the concerns that everybody's having on the news? What topic has been discussed in New Zealand?
Yeah. So what's happening now is, everything's trying to get back into normal as pre-COVID as we can, but just within New Zealand. So businesses are pretty much all back up and running, everything, we don't have to social distance anymore, like all that. The main thing is, obviously, is the new cases coming into New Zealand is the big thing in the media at the moment, all over the news, everywhere. Everyone's talking about it. Because we were about, I think, 26 days free of COVID. And then we had 2 British ladies who came in. They got compassionate leave, so they flew into Auckland and got compassionate leave to come down to Wellington. And one of the
sorry to interrupt. When you say compassionate leave, what is it that what does it mean?
So compassionate leave. So if anyone flies into the country, they can apply for compassionate leave if they have pretty much a dying family member or a family member has died. They can then get compassionate leave to either see that person before they die or be with their family while they grieve. So in this case, I think their mother had died, so they were sisters, and I think she had passed away and they wanted to come down to be with the family in Wellington instead of doing their full 2 weeks in Auckland isolation. So they drove down to Wellington, which is about a 9-hour drive from Auckland to Wellington. they claimed they didn't stop anywhere, or if they did stop, they just went to toilet on the side of the road. They didn't go to any places. But when they got to Wellington, one of the ladies, they both got tested because they were showing symptoms, and yeah, they both had it. And so a lot of people were very angry. And now I think we've got 6 cases now. So they're all people who have flown in. But those people are in their isolation. So yeah, it's mainly that.
It's understandable to have the anger and the fear, right? Because as we have seen, it only takes one case for it to spread.
Exactly. Yeah, and I think people felt like, when we were in full lockdown, like us who were already in New Zealand, people who lost family members, they couldn't go to funerals, they couldn't do anything. And it just, a lot of people, I think, were a bit upset that these ladies, got that leave that a lot of people didn't, and then they risked the health of so many people. I think that was a big thing as well.
Yeah, a little bit of a sad contradiction that does not help the situation. Yeah. Could you tell me just what are your hopes? What are your concerns? What do you think will happen or will not happen in the next few days, in the next few weeks? Just let's have a look inside you.
Well, my hope is obviously that we don't get back into having to go back into full isolation, level 4. Like, I don't want to go back to level 3, level 4. Like, it wasn't the greatest thing. I didn't enjoy it. So my hope is that we don't get back to that point. Like, I predict we will get more cases. Like, that was always, they always said that. Like, it's never not going to fully go away, and especially because we're letting people, New Zealand residents in. But we're letting people in, there's going to be cases. So I guess just like my hope is obviously that they just become a bit better at the border control, because that's what has shown from all this, is that they haven't actually been following the process that they told us that's what they were going to be doing. They haven't been testing people, it's just been really slack and just not what you would think they were doing. We put a lot of trust, I think, into our government, and that's why it worked. Like, we trusted their decision to lock down the whole country, and I think for them to not have followed through with the border thing as tightly as they said they would, they lost a little bit of trust, I think. So I think what I would like to see is them build up the trust again with the nation and tighten it, and just continue at level 1. Like, we can stay, I don't think we'll get out of level 1 anytime soon, and be completely back to normal, but as long as we're not moving backwards, then I think that's my hope and my prediction. Yeah.
I hope so for New Zealand, and I think it's a realistic hope based on how New Zealand has handled the pandemic, and you're lucky to be a Kiwi and to have the government you have, and you must know that.
Yeah, like, it's just crazy. Like, obviously I hope that the rest of the world would like catch on and be in the same place, but I get it, New Zealand's a lot smaller. We're far away, but at the same time, like, we have a government, obviously everyone doesn't agree, you're never going to please everyone, but we have a government that most people respect. Jacinda has done an amazing job. Like, you can't say she hasn't. Like, there are people obviously who don't agree with everything she's done, but she probably made one of the hardest decisions any prime minister would have ever had to make. And she's been through so much already, and then she got slammed with this. Like, she's done an awesome job, and I can't fault her for that at all. Like, yeah, very lucky to be where I am.
Indeed, very. And to finish off our wonderful conversation, it feels more like a conversation than an interview.
That's good.
Yeah, it is. If you could give yourself a message, so if you could speak to the Samantha from 14 days, if you could let her know something, what message would you give her?
I think just keep thinking positive. Like, even if more cases come in, like, don't get caught up in your head that, oh my God, it's all going to go back to how it is. Just keep it positive. Just kind of go with the flow with it a bit more, and just keep I don't know, keep feeling like it's going to be okay, like, you know, and just hopefully we don't go back, you know. Does that make sense?
Stay positive.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, pretty much is what I would say. Like, it feels really good, because mentally, like, level 4 and level 3 was really hard personally for me. So it's just nice to be here and be like a little bit stress-free from all of that. And I'd like to continue that.
Stay on the positive path. Well,
Yeah.
I wish the same for you, Samantha. And
Thank you.
I really want to thank you for your time, for giving us a little bit of your Sunday evening. And we will see each other in 14 days.
I look forward to it. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
You too. See ya.
Samantha, stay positive. That was your message. Just stay positive.
Yeah, pretty much. It's been like I still agree with, like, we're not going back. I don't think we're gonna step back at this stage, you know. Positively, like, I'm happy with where we're at. But everything to do with COVID has started to become a bit more political here, as it is election year. So now that, like, we're out of, like, the tough part, starting to get a bit more political, so you start to get a bit more like, ugh, like, you're kind of overhearing about it. But I guess I am positive that we're not going to go back. Like, I'd be very surprised if we went back into the other levels. Like, yeah, we've had more cases come into the border since then, but they've all been isolation. We've had no community. So yeah, I am pretty positive still. Yeah.
Because that was your message, and it's the first time you see it. I haven't shared with you our interview in its entirety,
No.
or even clips, right?
Yeah.
So those were some of the things we spoke about. Those were your hopes, your concerns, and one of the things that we spoke about, as we saw, was because of these new cases at the time, these two people coming from Europe and so on, and they had the compassionate leave. One of the things, because obviously it's like a domino effect, right? The New Zealand at the time was basically back to normal, and then suddenly these people that were supposed to be kept in quarantine and isolation, when they arrived, they weren't. They went to where you were, and then they tested positive. So there was the fear, right? And one of the things you said was that caused a little bit of a loss of trust towards a government, right? Because you were back to normal, and it was said, it was supposed to be that things were kept safe. And one of the things you said was that you hoped that the trust would be built up again. And has it?
Like, yes, in regards, I think, like, it's definitely probably not fully there yet, but when it comes to the border and the people coming in, like, I think, you know, they have taken the steps to be more vigilant and obviously tighten up that. So in regards to that, yes, there's been a lot in the news, just political playing, like, just, you know, because we have our two big parties are Labour and National. It's election year. Jacinda's Labour, the Nationals just keep, you know, digging in, you know. So that's really what it is at the moment. It's just a whole lot of unsettled, because people are trying to get people to vote for
Further,
you know, for their party. So it's just turning into political play at the moment. But I think that they're definitely, I would be surprised if it became worse with like the border. They would it would not be good if it did. So things are definitely becoming better in that sense. Yeah.
It's interesting to see that you say that now it's becoming political, and using what was done or not done, and just the virus in general as a political thing to play with, right? Because as we've seen from other countries in the world, unfortunately, from the beginning and even now, when things are not going that well, they have politicized the virus when a virus has no party, right?
Yeah.
So that has been really difficult to keep in mind the science, the facts, just in general, how infectious diseases works, how virus work, what a pandemic is, the things that should and should not be done in order to stop the spread. And so to hear, okay, now New Zealand is in a situation that you're basically completely back to normal because of everything that was done in order to stop the spread, in order to have a low number of deaths, contagions, and so on. And it's funny, it's hopeful, and it's interesting that now with election year, virus is like a little bit used but behind you, and so it's just, you know, this party that wants to be voted that is targeting the other, and that's politics, right? So
Totally.
in a way it's nice to see that these political games that have been played since forever and before the pandemic now in New Zealand are being played, and they weren't played with the virus, right? The virus was one thing where politics didn't come into play.
No, like there were some like political disagreement when it comes to like obviously businesses and money and that sort of thing, but in the end, like it wasn't, not compared to other countries, like it just, you know, like looking back at it, I don't feel it as political, like, you know, not as it is now. Yeah, it was definitely not the same.
Not the same.
And it was good, like that they did it that way. Like there's always going to be politics in it, that's just life. But yeah, so no, like we really felt like Jacinda chose her people over the country's economics and money, which would have been a huge decision to make, but the right one, I think. That's my view. Yeah,
definitely. And it is a lot of people's view, because you can see it was the right one. You came out of it. Yes, the pandemic is still going on. That's not something that just stops, but
no.
it has technically stopped in New Zealand. You just have to be cautious with who comes in, because there's no community transmission right now. Hopefully it stays that way, and it will, as long as you're careful with isolating and quarantining the people that come in, right? And that means you can do all the things that we used to do in different parts of the world and wish we would do, and unfortunately some of us still do and shouldn't be doing, right?
Yeah,
it's different. We look at least I look at New Zealand and I see our past but also our potential future, right? And it's a weird place to be, right?
it is. Like it's so nice to be in a place like where I am, and it's just so hard, like, you know, we get everything from most of the places, you know, America and England, like we see a lot of that, and you just see all these people going out, and it just kind of it blows your mind, like you know, it's just a whole different place to hear, and just the reaction to it. And yeah, like England surprises me a lot, like with how people over there, like I thought they would be a bit more like us. I know they're a lot bigger, and obviously because we have, you know, a lot of English ancestry, so we've got that connection with England, but yeah, they're not. Yeah, so like it's just it's nice to know that people think of New Zealand as a hope of what other places could be. And I do hope that we continue to stand up to that, like on that pedestal that people see us on. Yeah.
But one of those things that we should always keep in mind is, yes, maybe right now New Zealand is on a pedestal,
Yeah.
but I mean, you had to climb up. You had to do the work to be on that pedestal. It's not that you didn't do anything and you're fine. You had a very harsh and strict, and it worked, lockdown. You even mentioned in our last conversation that it was difficult, right? Even for you, it was difficult, but you guys did it, and you don't want to
Yeah.
go back to that.
No. It was difficult. Like, it was just the weirdest thing ever. Like for me personally, like, we were very lucky. Like, we didn't lose any jobs. Like, because in my household, it's me and my partner, and we had his daughter for the time. So it was just the three of us here, but I couldn't work. So it was weird for me, because I've never not worked for such a long time. And it did start to take its toll. Like, there started to be like not much purpose to the day. Like, it was just, like, you move from the bed to the couch. Like, we were allowed to go for a walk, but your walk couldn't be longer than 30 minutes. Like, luckily, like, my house has like a backyard, and like I can go outside. Like, I couldn't imagine like how people in Italy and those places who are in like these apartments and like, don't even have an outside to go into. Yeah, it was hard. And like, looking back at it now, I'm like, it was just so weird. But in the time, it just felt so much worse than what it is now, looking back. Like, but we, like, I called my friends, I called my family, like, obviously had my partner. So there is a lot of support in that. And like, my family, we called each other like every day at like 10 o'clock in the morning. And we all talked, and just, caught up, like nothing serious, but having that was great. In New Zealand, like, mental health is a big issue here. Like, we are like one of the highest rates for suicide and all those sort of things. So, they know in isolation that would be a huge mental health issue. So there were a lot of, support things put out, especially on the TV. There was a lot of like reminding everyone to kind of stay in touch with people, and if you are finding it hard, like, do call someone, like, you're not alone. So there was a big push for that sort of thing, which was great to see. Like, we are far from perfect here when it comes to mental health and mental illness and all that sort of thing. So yeah, so I'm glad they took those steps during isolation, where it would have been a lot more difficult for people who were in harder situations, or who had to live in households with people who, that sort of thing. So yeah, it was it was a time. And like, some days were good, some days were bad. I'm just glad it's over.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the thing. You had good days, you had bad days, but you knew you just had to keep on going, right? You had to keep on doing it.
Yeah.
And now you see the results. Now you can go out, you can go to cinema, you can go shopping. You literally can do everything.
We can. Yeah, we can.
And
We
that's
just can't travel.
I traveled, but that's not your fault. It's
No.
but but like you said, you need to keep on being careful, right? Right now, your risk is who comes in.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to keep on keeping track who comes in, testing them, isolating them, and so on, and selecting. But the moment you stop doing that, the virus comes in. So it doesn't mean that because you're doing well, you should forget about it. And it doesn't mean for other countries that are doing poorly, it doesn't mean, oh, we're not New Zealand, we have a bigger country, more, the population is bigger, we are already doing so badly, so let's forget about it, and who cares, we can't change it. No, that's also the wrong way of seeing it, because we see that things can change. So they can change for the better, they can change like for the worse, and it really depends on us, right? So
Totally.
look at New Zealand and take inspiration. They put the hard work and now they can party, right?
We sure can.
You can party for
Nightclubs are open.
you can dance for me. Everything. I miss that. But you know, you mentioned that you see the UK and you see the US, and you just can't really understand it. There's also right now Australia right next to you that was doing well, that had an outbreak, and from what I see, they're getting a little bit fearful, so things are getting more strict in Melbourne. How does it? I know you, when you, New Zealand and Australia were thinking and talking about opening borders for each other, right? Has that changed now because of what has happened?
Yeah, well, it was never like, it was always just like, that's what they want to happen. Like, there was never a set time for it. And obviously with everything happening in Melbourne, I think they're not going to do it anytime soon. From, you know, that'd be silly too. Yeah, like, I think it would still be the goal, like originally, is to have like an Australia, New Zealand kind of, you know, bubble, like where we can go there, they can come here. But yeah, Australia would definitely obviously need to get a bit more under control. They were doing quite well, but yeah, they had that huge outbreak in Melbourne, and it's just been crazy to see that as well. Like, you're like, but you're doing so good.
What happened?
What are you doing? Yeah, but you know, it happened, and obviously, hopefully they've learned from this, not to be, you know, because it was from people who were in quarantine, but they weren't doing the right things. Like, you know, there were heaps of things, and yeah, like, it'd be nice to have in Australia, New Zealand, but I don't know when they will do it. We haven't even opened up to the islands yet, like, so they want to look into doing that as well. They'll probably get done before Australia, because there's no cases like in, you know, Samoa, Tonga, Cook Islands, Fiji, all those sort of places. So yeah, we'll see if they open up them.
But that, yeah, I mean, you have a example right next door to you that was doing well, that you were thinking of having a bubble relationship with, and I guess it's, I don't know, not a slap in the face, but kind of like some cold water in the face to make you think you can't be complacent, right? You got to keep on going.
Exactly. And there were people like screaming, like, well, not literally, but, you know, like being like, we need to open borders, we need to, like we need to get it done. And then it's just like, we see that and everyone's like, oh, maybe we don't need to open them quite soon. Because I think somewhere in Europe is going to allow New Zealand to travel there, but it's like trying to deter people from traveling and coming back, and like, now that's the issue. So letting people travel and then coming back, like, do they pay for their quarantine, or does the government pay for their quarantine? Like, that's now the issue that we're getting into, is who pays for people going into quarantine. You know, if you choose to leave.
If you choose to leave, which of course the country you're going to is saying, sure, come, there's no quarantine, and everything's, but like you said, it's a very difficult topic, and it's a very difficult situation. Opening the borders from one place to another taking the virus with you or bringing it with you. It's the reality.
Yeah.
You need to weigh the risks, you as a person, but obviously you, the government, you, the administration, you, the country and countries, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Let's see. So keep the borders closed in New Zealand.
Yeah,
So
I think so.
I think, yeah, I think it's better. You have
Yeah.
my approval.
Yeah.
From all the way in Germany. Yeah, I wish, so personally speaking, I wish some countries or most countries would be closing their borders like New Zealand. Economies are suffering, yes, but travel in the country, help your own economy, because every country has people that are well off, has people that got money. So those people that have got money don't go, to whatever country outside. Just like, if you're in the north, go to the south. If you're in the east, go to the west, but keep it in the country. And that helps.
Oh, totally.
Right?
Yeah.
Beth, it has been so nice to catch up and to see how things have changed. And thankfully, they have changed in a good way, and mostly in a good way in New Zealand.
Yeah.
Hopefully, the rest of the world can see that it's doing well because it's put the hard work before. And now you're, like I said, very cheesy, but you put the hard work and now you're partying. But that's how it is. Can't be partying if you're not doing the work, right?
No.
Last time that we spoke, we finished our conversation when I asked you to give yourself a message, right? In 14 days. And now I ask you, based on what you have learned, what you have seen, what has changed, and also this experience with me and 14 days to change, what message do you give to those that will watch and hear your story and the story of New Zealand?
I think what I'd like to say is just that, just work towards, getting rid of it. Don't be stupid. Wear a mask. Be distant. Wash your hands. Follow the guidelines. It's not that hard. These people, just it can be done. And I know it's hard. Some people like to compare the size of New Zealand, but you can do it. You can get here. It can be positive in the end. It could have been so much worse here, but it wasn't. We unfortunately lost 22 people, but they predicted losing thousands of people if we hadn't done it when we did it. And so it's you keep losing people, why not do something, but do what needs to be done, but keep it positive and just know that it can change if you really do work hard and work together. This was a team effort of our whole country. Don't be selfish. It's just stupid. It's not worth it. Life is so much nicer now. You guys are going to be in and out of lockdown forever if you don't do something. So work hard.
Work hard so you can party hard.
Yeah.
So, Samantha, it has been a pleasure. And this last message, very real. It's as it is, right? And that's what we need to hear. Thank you very much for joining us and showing us and letting us into your life, and also into what has changed in the last 2 weeks and how the change came to be, also from the very beginning and now, right? So.
Yeah. No, it's been awesome. Thank you for doing this. It's cool, just to see, 14 days, 2 weeks, it doesn't seem like a lot of time, but yeah, it's been cool. I've enjoyed just, you know, seeing.
And
And I look forward to seeing other people's experience because it's so different to mine. So
everybody's different. Even I have some people from the same countries, and the experience is different. And
yeah,
we learn from all of them. And
yeah, totally.
that's the hope, right? Get inspired and know that it's never too late in this pandemic. You can really make a change, and
Yeah.
you should, especially if you're not doing well, right?
Yeah.
Samantha, thank you very much. 14 days to change. I let you sleep or finish your evening, uh, and I'm gonna start my day.
No, thank you so much. Have a great day. And yeah, I'm going to go to sleep.
Bye bye.
Bye.